My wife died believing I never truly loved her. We were married 41 years, and I destroyed our marriage one small neglect at a time. This is my confession. I'm 73 years old. My wife is gone, and the biggest regret of my life isn't what I did wrong. It's what I never did right. She asked me for so little. Dancing lessons, weekend trips, real conversations, and I said no every single time. Now she's gone, and I'd give everything to say yes. I thought we had time. I thought someday was guaranteed. I was wrong, and my wife paid the price for my complacency with decades of loneliness. After 41 years of marriage, I thought I knew my wife. Then she died, and I found her journal. I didn't know her at all. My name is William. I'm 73 years old, and I need to tell you about the biggest mistake of my life. A mistake that cost me my marriage, even though we stayed together until the end. Her name was Margaret. We were married for 41 years. She died 3 years ago from cancer. And in her final weeks, she told me something that shattered me completely. She said I'd been emotionally absent for most of our marriage. Present physically, but gone in every way that mattered. And she was right. God help me. She was absolutely right. I married Margaret in 1978. I was 29, she was 26. I loved her deeply. At least I thought I did. Looking back now, I wonder if I ever understood what love actually required. I thought love was a feeling you had. I didn't understand it was a choice you made. Every single day, in 1,000 small ways. And I stopped making that choice without even realizing it. It started small. So small I didn't notice. A conversation cut short. An invitation declined. A moment of connection missed. One turned into hundreds. Hundreds into thousands. Margaret would plan things. Special dinners. Weekend trips she'd researched. Classes we could take together. And I always had an excuse. Too tired from work. Too expensive. Too inconvenient. Not interested. I didn't say no maliciously. I just thought we had time. I thought those things didn't matter compared to the important stuff like paying bills and being faithful and showing up. I was catastrophically wrong. We became roommates who happened to be married. Polite strangers sharing a home. We'd have entire days where our only conversation was about groceries and bills and schedule logistics. Nothing real. Nothing deep. Nothing that required vulnerability or connection. And I told myself this was normal. That passion fades in long marriages. That this comfortable routine was just what happened. But comfortable was just another word for dead. Margaret stopped asking me to join her. She built her own life, her own friends, her own interests. We lived in the same house, but existed in separate worlds. I'd come home from work exhausted, sit on the couch with my phone. Margaret would try to tell me about her day, and I'd make the appropriate sounds without actually listening. I'd be physically present, but mentally 1,000 miles away. And she'd eventually stop talking, stop trying. The silence in our house wasn't peaceful. It was the silence of two people who'd given up on each other, but were too comfortable or too scared to admit it. Years passed this way. 10 years. 20. 30. We celebrated anniversaries. Went through the motions. Took the obligatory photos. But we weren't really together anymore. We were just coexisting. Two people trapped in a marriage neither of us had the courage to leave or the wisdom to repair. I assumed this was just what long marriages looked like. I was wrong. Then Margaret got sick. Pancreatic cancer. Stage 4. The doctor gave her 6 months. We got 5. And everything changed. But by then it was too late. When someone you love is dying, all the bullshit falls away. The work stress. The distractions. The excuses. None of it matters anymore. Suddenly, you have clarity. Suddenly, you see what was always important. But by then, time is running out. Margaret and I had 5 months between diagnosis and death. 5 months to try to make up for 30 years of emotional absence. It wasn't enough. In those final months, we talked more honestly than we had in decades. And Margaret told me things I'd been too blind or too selfish to see. She told me she'd been lonely in our marriage for over 20 years. That she'd felt invisible. That she'd tried so many times to reach me, to connect, to rebuild what we'd lost. And I'd rejected every attempt without even realizing what I was doing. She said something I'll never forget. She said, "William, I've been married to you for 40 years, but I've been alone for 30 of them. That sentence destroyed me. Because she wasn't being cruel. She was being honest. And I knew immediately she was right. I'd been there physically. I'd paid the bills. I'd been faithful. I'd done all the things society says make you a good husband. But I'd failed at the only thing that actually mattered, making her feel loved, seen, valued, chosen. Every day, she told me about dreams she'd abandoned. She'd always wanted to see Italy. Her grandmother was Italian, and she dreamed of walking through Tuscany, understanding her heritage. She'd mentioned it dozens of times over the years. Every time, I'd said maybe next year or too expensive or not a good time. We never went, and now we never would. She wasn't angry. That's what made it unbearable. She'd accepted years ago that I wouldn't be the partner she needed. She wanted to take dance lessons. Ballroom dancing. She'd show me the flyer for a studio. Multiple times. I thought it was silly, impractical, a waste of money and time. She said she didn't want to dance because she loved dancing. She wanted to dance because she wanted to hold me, to move together, to do something romantic and impractical and fun, to feel connected to me the way we used to be. And I was too practical, too sensible, too busy to give her that. A few hours a week. That's all she asked for. And I couldn't even give her that. After Margaret died, I found her journals. She'd been writing for 30 years, and reading them was like discovering a stranger I'd been married to. She wrote about feeling invisible in her own marriage, about screaming silently for connection and being met with indifference, about slowly accepting that I would never be the partner she needed, about building walls around her heart to protect herself from the daily rejection of my emotional absence. One entry from 15 years ago said, "I've stopped trying to reach him. It hurts too much. I'll learn to be happy alone." She wrote that while I was sleeping next to her. I sleep alone now, in the bed we shared for 41 years. And every morning I wake up reaching for her, forgetting for a moment that she's gone. And then I remember, and the guilt hits me like a physical blow. Because I had her. She was right there, for 41 years. And I wasted it. I wasted her. I wasted us. I told myself work was important. Providing was love. Being reliable was enough. And yes, those things matter. But they're the foundation, not the house. I built a foundation and never bothered to build a home on it. Margaret needed more than a provider. She needed a partner. Someone who chose her. Every day, in small ways and big ways. Someone who was curious about her thoughts. Interested in her dreams. Present for her life. I visit her grave every week. I tell her I'm sorry. I tell her all the things I should have said when she was alive. But graves don't answer back. I tell her about the Italy trip I finally took. Alone, walking through Tuscany like she dreamed of, crying in hotel rooms because she should have been there. I tell her I finally took those dance lessons. At 73, the instructor felt sorry for the old widower dancing alone. Margaret should have been in my arms. Instead, she's in the ground. And it's my fault. Here's what I need you to understand. This isn't a story about dramatic failure. I didn't cheat. I didn't abuse. I didn't abandon. I did everything society says makes you a decent husband. And I still failed. Because I confused presence with connection. I confused providing with loving. I confused not doing harm with actively doing good. And that passive approach killed my marriage slowly over decades. I see couples now making the same mistake I made. Sitting across from each other, staring at phones. Physically together, but completely alone. And I want to shake them awake. If you're in a relationship right now, I need you to hear this. Your partner won't wait forever. They won't keep trying to reach you if you keep pulling away. Eventually, they'll stop asking, stop suggesting, stop trying. And you'll tell yourself that's fine. That quiet is comfortable. But it's not comfortable. It's death. Slow, silent, relationship death. Don't wait for a diagnosis. Don't wait for a crisis. Don't wait until your partner is dying to finally pay attention. Do it now. Today. This moment. Put down your phone. Turn off the TV. Look at your partner. Really look at them. And ask them about their dreams, their fears, their thoughts. Not the logistics of life, but the substance of their soul. When's the last time you had a real conversation? Not about bills or schedules. About ideas. About the future. About what makes them come alive inside. When's the last time you did something just because it would make them happy? not an obligation, not a birthday or anniversary. Just because. When's the last time you said yes to something they suggested, even though it didn't particularly interest you? Because here's the secret. You don't do those things because you're passionate about pottery or dancing or whatever they suggest. You do them because strengthening your bond should be your passion. Love isn't something you fall into once and then coast on forever. Love is a verb. It's something you do every day, in small ways and big ways. It's choosing curiosity over assumption. It's choosing engagement over passivity. It's choosing your partner over comfort, over convenience, over your phone, over your exhaustion. Because relationships don't die from dramatic betrayals. They die from 1,000 small neglects. I still wear my wedding ring. Margaret sits in a box in my drawer. A symbol of a promise I kept technically, but broke in every way that mattered. People tell me I was a good husband. They're wrong. I was an adequate husband. I met the minimum requirements. But meeting the minimum requirements in a relationship isn't something to be proud of. It's something to be ashamed of. Because the people we love deserve more than the minimum. They deserve our best. Our attention, our effort, our curiosity, our presence. Not what's left over after we've given everything else to work and stress and distraction. I look through our photos sometimes. The early years were always touching. Hands held, arms around each other, looking at each other. By year 20, we're standing apart in every photo, looking at the camera, not each other. The physical distance in those pictures tells the truth. We were drifting apart for decades, and I refused to see it. I told myself we were just mature, comfortable, past the needy phase. I was wrong. I write her letters now, saying everything I should have said. It's pathetic, but it's all I have. Words on paper that will never be read by the person who needed to hear them. I tell her I'm sorry for every dance I didn't take, every trip I postponed, every conversation I cut short, every time I chose comfort over connection. I tell her she deserved better, that she deserved to be chosen every day, and I failed to choose her. I tell her I finally understand what she needed, now that it's too late to give it to her. It's torture, but it's also the least I can do. But I'm not telling you this story so you'll feel sorry for me. I'm telling you because you still have time. If you're in a relationship, your partner is still there, still breathing, still reachable. You can still have those conversations. Take those trips. Make those memories. Create the connection I failed to maintain. But you have to choose it. You have to prioritize it. You have to do it now. Because time doesn't wait. Neither does death. One day, you'll be where I am, looking back with regret at all the chances you didn't take. Where you'll change now. I'm 73 years old. I live alone in a house that's too big and too quiet. I have money saved, security, comfort, all the things I prioritized over my marriage. And none of it matters. None of it fills the silence. None of it gives me back the 30 years I wasted. None of it brings Margaret back. I have everything except what actually matters. The person I loved, who I never loved well enough. I eat dinner alone every night. I try to watch TV, but the silence is deafening. I go to bed alone in a bed that used to hold two. And I think about all the nights Margaret was right there, wanting connection, wanting conversation, wanting closeness. And I was too tired or too busy or too distracted. I had everything I needed, and I let it die through neglect. Don't make my mistake. Love the person you're with actively, intentionally, every single day. Or one day, you'll be me. And I promise you, you don't want to be me. Margaret kept her wedding dress. It's still hanging in our closet. Sometimes I go in there and touch it. Remember the woman who wore it. So full of hope. So trusting that I would be the partner she deserved. And I failed her. For 41 years, I failed her. The woman in that dress deserved better than she got. Your partner deserves better than comfortable neglect. Give it to them, while you still can. Margaret was right. We wasted so much time being comfortable instead of connected, being present instead of engaged, coexisting instead of loving. And I would give everything I own for one more day to do it right. But I don't get that. She's gone. And I have to live with what I did and what I didn't do for the rest of my life. You don't have to. You still have today. Don't waste it. Thank you for listening. If this story affected you, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe for more real stories from real people. And most importantly, go talk to your partner. Right now. Don't wait. There is no someday. There's only today.